Hello, this is the part two of our discussion. Let us review what we have done in our previous discussion. So this is the class main, and as you can see, we have only one class here, and we have only one constructor. At the same time, we declare, of course, the instance variable here at the top and after the main class, and we call the main program really to create, of course, static value of y that is 0, and we cannot call x at the top unless otherwise we instantiate a class under the main class right here. Instantiation means you are there to conceive or to produce or to create the son and daughter of the main class. Okay, what happened is because object 1 now is part of the main class, therefore we use the period to access the instance variable at the top. Instance variable is part of the class. Okay? At the same time, static variable is part of the static void main here. As you can see, we have one static variable and we have one instance variable. Okay, so the attribute is, of course, the value of x is 0 and y is 0. Therefore, the purpose of this class is to what? Is to produce the value of 0. Okay, let us go to the next part of our discussion. Our discussion is to continue what is the purpose of the attributes. Therefore, attributes is like describing the behavior of the program. All right. Again, I will again use the class main to create the attributes. Like for example, we have here the class for the car. The car is the name of the class. At the same time, car has objects. We have Nissan, we have Toyota, we have McLaren. These are the example. But again, using these cars, they have their own attributes and characteristics. For example, the model, the power of engine, the color. So let us use that. Okay. So we have to use what? Class. I'm still using the class name because this is part of the program is online and this is where we run our main program. Okay. After that, what will happen? I will create here, okay, string model. So string model right here, we can declare um, the instance of variable at the top, and then we can say Nissan. Okay. Almera. Okay. So we have the Nissan Almera at the top. Let's say int engine. So we have the engine of GTR 2025. Okay, that's the example. Okay, disclaimer, example only. After that, what happened? So we have here, of course, the string here. Okay, for the color. The color is silver. So we have two attributes from the class. We have, of course, one string, one integer, and one string. We have two strings and one integer. Okay, what's the purpose of this one? So the purpose of this now is we need to provide attributes for the model and for the engine. How to do that? Okay, let us go right here. Public static void main, then string args. Sorry. Okay, this is part of where you create the placement of the syntax or the code. You can even put the class main, of course, at the bottom, or maybe you can add class at the top. Therefore, if you want to save this program, this could become what? Main.java. All right. This is to avoid any glitches or errors. So if you're writing a program, then the first part of the letter is capital letter. Now, what will happen? So let us now create the instance of the class. This is the class. We need to list the instance of the class. This is the instance variable after, of course, the class name. Okay? And we are using this public static void main because we need to call this program to create the action. Okay? So what is the main of the class? Main. And then we can write any name right here. Okay? We can write any name right here. For example, I will write any name. I will write any name of the object. For example, I will write object 1. It's up to you. Okay? Equals to new. All right? This is the main class. And what is the rule of writing the constructor? Whatever is the name of the class, that's the name of the constructor. Therefore, that is main. Okay? Now, object now is the daughter or son of the main class. Therefore, this object 1 has, of course, the capacity to inherit the following field members of the main class. So let us create all the attributes, okay? So we have to create attributes right here. What will happen? So we have to say system. These are the attributes right now, and we have here system. Okay. Dot, okay, out, that print line. And then we have here to access, of course, the first statement at the top, or of course the instance variable, we need to call, of course, this object because the object now is part of the main class, right? So let us put right object 1 and then put the name of the model. So the purpose of the period is to access the instance of the class or instance of the object, instance of the method. Okay, period. So we need only to print this one. Let us check at the same time. Check the output. Okay, so we have here the GTR. Okay, so we have to check this one. Object 1, model, and what is the error? Incompatible type string. Okay, we have here the error. This is not the engine. So we need to put, of course, the engine power. We can put, of course, 2000 or 2000 something like power. Okay, run plug this program again. Okay, we have the Nissan Almera because this is now what? The value at the top. So we need to provide. What if we edit, of course, the content of this instance variable? What will happen? All you have to do is to move right here, object 1, okay, and then put the model, okay. Look at what happened. Let us edit the object, and we put, of course, let's say, Toyota, okay. So we have already edited the model right here. We supersede the previous value of this string model. Remember, object 1 now holds a value of model because this is part now of the main class, this one. So main class is the mother class, and object 1 is the sub, what you call this, just like a subclass that owns the field members of the model, engine, and color. Now let us print the new value of object 1. What will happen? System dot out dot print line, and then object 1 point model. Okay. Now let us run the program. Okay. These are the attributes of the program. You can even change the attributes. Okay. This is one way of creating your own attributes. That's why attributes is very important. That's how you describe, of course, the functionality, and describes how do you treat the data of your program. Okay. Let us run the code right here. So the data right now is Nissan Almira, and we have Toyota, because we added another model for your data right here. But this time, this is already what? Superseded by this statement at the bottom. Now, if you want to print this engine and silver, of course, let us print that. Let us print right here. Okay. What will happen? So let us print the model and, of course, the engine. Engine. You can even combine the character right here, the string right here. Engine model. Okay. And then plus symbol, that is part of concatenation. Another here is, of course, we need to print, of course, the next part is the color. And then you need to put, of course, a space here, plus, and then obj1 dot what? Color. Okay, there you have it. So we have only using one class. The class has its own instance variable to be called as part of your object right here. And we call the object and access, of course, the following what? Instance variable at the top. These are the instance data or instance variable. At the same time, we created the object out of main class. Therefore, object now is part of the main class because, well, it is already part of the statement. Okay, you run the program here. What will happen? We have the following output: Nissan Almera, Toyota, engine model 29, and color silver. Okay, that's it.